The lights went out at exactly 7:12 p.m. For a moment, everything fell silent. The ceiling fan stopped, the TV screen faded to black, and the faint hum of the refrigerator ceased. Izal B. Dam, outside, the neighborhood was wrapped in sudden darkness, like someone had pulled a giant curtain across the sky. Inside the small apartment, 12-year-old Ayan stared at the dead screen in disbelief. His video game progress, gone, again. He threw the controller on the couch with a frustrated sigh. Ayaz Albi, not again, he muttered. His younger sister, 6-year-old Zoya, clung to their mother's arm. Mama, I'm scared of the dark. Izal B. Their mother, Noreen, gently pulled Zoya into her lap, brushing a few strands of hair from her daughter's face. It's just a power cut, sweetheart. It'll come back soon. Izal B. Dam B. But Noreen knew better. These weren't the usual few-minute outages anymore. Electricity had become unpredictable, a luxury their crumbling finances could no longer afford. Izal B. Dam B. Their father, Imran, entered the living room with a small emergency lamp, its dull yellow light barely reaching the walls. His face looked tired, more than tired, worn. He had been jobless for almost 5 months now. Izal B. Dam, the factory he worked at, had shut down during the country's economic crisis. Since then, he'd been knocking on every door for work, any work, but there were no answers. Izal B. Dam. I called the electric office, he said quietly, setting the lamp on the table. They said there's a fault in the line, no idea when it'll come back. Izal B. Izal B. Noreen forced a smile. We'll manage. We always do. She didn't sound convincing. She didn't feel convinced herself. Izal B. Their groceries were running out, the rent was due, and even the lamp's batteries were fading. But she had learned to hide her fear behind calm eyes. For her children, for her husband, for herself. Izal B. Dam B. As the hours passed, the apartment grew colder. Not the kind of cold that comes from winter, but the emotional chill of uncertainty, of knowing that things were slipping deeper into darkness with each day. Izal B. Zoya eventually fell asleep in her mother's arms, her tiny hand clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit. Ayan sat near the window, staring out at the dark city. Do you think things will ever go back to normal? He asked quietly. Izal B. Imran joined him, placing a hand on his son's shoulder. They never go back, son, but they move forward. Sometimes in ways we don't expect. Izal B. Ayan looked at his father. Like what? Imran thought for a moment. Then he smiled. Not a forced one, but a real one. The first in weeks. Izal B. Like how stars only shine when it's dark. Izal B. That night, with no TV, no internet, no distractions, the family sat together on the floor, sharing stories by the dim light of a flickering lamp. Izal B. Morning sunlight peeked through the thin, worn-out curtains. The city had woken up, but the power hadn't. The fans still stood lifeless on the ceiling, and the air in the small apartment felt heavy. Noreen stood at the stove, trying to stretch the last bit of flour into enough dough for 4 parathas. Just 4. That's all they had left, and not enough oil to fry them the way she used to. No eggs, no tea, just the basics. She glanced over her shoulder at Imran, who sat at the dining table staring at an old notebook. It was filled with lists, job opportunities, contacts, bills, ideas, and reminders of failures. He tapped the pen against his chin, then underlined something again. Ayan entered the room, rubbing his eyes. His school bag hung by the door untouched for weeks. The school fees hadn't been paid, and after 2 warnings, he was told not to return until the dues were cleared. He missed it more than he admitted. Is there breakfast? He asked quietly. Noreen smiled weakly and placed a hot paratha on his plate. Only one for now, Beta. He didn't complain. He just nodded and began to eat slowly, slower than usual, to make it last longer. Zoya walked in moments later, barefoot and sleepy. Her pink pajamas were a size too small, but she still dragged her stuffed rabbit along like it was brand new. "Baba, why isn't the TV working?" she asked, climbing into Imran's lap. He hugged her gently. "Because there's no light, princess." She looked up at the ceiling, then whispered, "Is the sky broken?" That question, simple, innocent, cracked something inside him. "No," he whispered, "but maybe we are. Just a little." Noreen pretended not to hear. She took a deep breath and began clearing the kitchen counter. The cracked tiles and leaky tap didn't bother her anymore. What worried her was the small bag of rice in the cupboard, barely enough for one more meal. Just then, the doorbell rang. It startled everyone. Nobody had visited them in days. Imran stood up quickly and opened the door to find an elderly man standing there, holding a small box and a letter. "You're Mr. Imran?" he asked. "Yes. I was told to give this to you." The man handed him the box and left without another word. Imran closed the door slowly, puzzled. Noreen came closer, wiping her hands. "What is it?" Inside the box was a second-hand smartphone, old but functional, and a note. "Use your words. Someone out there still wants to listen." There was no name, no number, just those lines. Imran sat down in silence, reading the note again, then again. Noreen leaned over his shoulder. "Do you think someone wants you to write again?" Imran was once an aspiring writer. Years ago, he had written short stories and poems, raw, honest, and full of life. But over time, the struggle of putting food on the table had silenced that voice. Until now. He held the phone in his hand, feeling the weight of possibility. Not just the device. The next morning, the power was still out. But Imran's old spirit, it was back. Just a flicker, like a spark that refuses to die even in the wind. He sat near the window where the sunlight was strongest and turned on the phone again. Its battery was half full, enough for now. He opened the app where he had posted his late-night message. To his surprise, there was a comment. "I don't know who you are, but this felt like my life too. Thank you for writing it." And another, "Keep going, please don't stop." Imran blinked, unsure of what to feel. These were strangers, strangers who understood. He turned to Noreen. "People are reading it." She looked up from folding the laundry, curious. "Really?" He nodded slowly. "They're feeling what we feel, and they're listening." Ayan walked by and overheard. "Are you famous now, Baba?" Imran laughed, a full, deep laugh. "No, Beta, just honest." Ayan smiled and sat beside him. "What are you writing next?" That evening, Imran posted again. Day 2. Breakfast was half a paratha and a smile. We didn't have tea, but we had each other. Maybe that's enough for today. More likes, more comments, more people who connected. As Imran's short daily writings began to spread, something subtle changed in their home. Still no electricity, still no proper meals, but less silence, less hopelessness. That night, they gathered around the emergency lamp once again. But instead of worrying, they talked. They shared dreams. Ayan said he wanted to become a pilot. Zoya wanted to be a painter. Even Noreen, who had long buried her own desires, admitted she once dreamed of opening a small bakery. Imran listened to them, deeply. Then he wrote, Day 3. When the lights are gone, dreams shine brighter. My son wants to fly, my daughter wants to color the world, and my wife, she wants to bake the warmth she carries in her heart. Maybe the power's out, but tonight, our hearts are on fire. Far away, someone shared his post with a caption, "The anonymous writer who's helping us all survive the dark." Unbeknownst to Imran, his words had started traveling beyond his neighborhood, beyond the city. People across the country, also struggling, also afraid, were beginning to find comfort in his quiet, honest voice. And while Imran didn't know where any of this was going, he had finally found something stronger than electricity: purpose. 3 days had passed since Imran posted his first words, and though their apartment still sat in darkness, something inside it had changed, like a heartbeat that had just remembered how to beat stronger. That morning, as Noreen prepared a thin porridge from the last handful of rice, Imran sat quietly with the phone, staring at a new message in his inbox. "Hello, I run a small blog that features stories from everyday heroes. Would you allow us to publish your diary entries? We'll pay a small amount per post. Let me know. Your words are helping people." Imran couldn't believe it. It wasn't just appreciation anymore. It was opportunity. "Noreen," he said softly, "they want to pay for my writing." She turned around, spoon paused in midair. "What? Are you serious?" He showed her the message. Her eyes scanned it slowly, cautiously. "Is it real?" she asked, almost afraid to hope. "I think it is." That afternoon, with trembling fingers, Imran replied, "Yes, I'd be honored." He was paid a small amount for his first 3 entries, not much, but enough to buy fresh flour, a tray of eggs, and 2 batteries for the emergency lamp. For the first time in weeks, the children ate until their stomachs were full. As they sat together for dinner that night, Ayan said, "Baba, maybe the lights didn't go out. Maybe they just moved into your phone." Everyone laughed. But the laughter wasn't forced anymore. It was real. It was earned. Later that evening, there was a knock at the door. Noreen opened it cautiously and found a young woman standing outside. She wore a bright yellow shawl and held a paper bag in her hand. "Sorry to disturb you," she said kindly. "Are you the family whose father writes those online journal posts?" Noreen blinked in surprise. "Yes," the woman smiled. "I just wanted to say thank you. My husband lost his job too, and we've been feeling so lost, but your words, they brought us peace." She handed Noreen the paper bag. "There's some groceries inside, just a little from our side." Noreen's eyes welled up with tears. "You didn't have to. I wanted to," the woman interrupted, "because you gave something first. Hope." She walked away before Noreen could find the words to thank her properly. Inside the bag were 2 packs of lentils, rice, soap, a few vegetables, and a small handwritten note. "The darkest nights make the brightest stars." Imran read it aloud. A silence filled the room, not empty, but sacred. Then Zoya asked, "Can I draw a star for our wall?" "Yes," Imran said. "Draw a big one, the biggest you can." And as she scribbled bright yellow stars on the peeling wall, Imran opened his phone once more. Day 4. A stranger knocked today, not for help but to give it. The world may be hurting, but kindness still lives. And tonight I believe something beautiful. We are not alone in this darkness. That night their home was still without power, but it was glowing. It had been a week since the first blackout, 7 long days of no electricity, no TV, no school, and yet somehow more light had filled that home than in the months before. Not the kind of light powered by wires and switches, but the kind that came from inside people. The kind you can't shut off. That morning, Imran woke up earlier than usual. He didn't even wait for sunlight to reach the window. He turned on the phone and wrote, "Day 7. I once thought light came from bulbs. Now I know it can come from words, hands, and hearts." He hit publish. By now, thousands were reading him. His simple daily posts had gone viral. People shared them across social media, quoted his thoughts, and called him the voice of the dark. His inbox was full of interview requests, job offers, and even publishers who wanted to compile his story into a book. But Imran wasn't chasing fame. He was chasing something far greater: purpose. As he finished typing, Zoya stirred awake. "Baba," she whispered, eyes still sleepy. "Will the lights come back today?" Imran smiled. "Maybe, maybe not. But don't worry, we've already lit up." She giggled and climbed into his lap. Noreen prepared breakfast, simple bread and lentils, but this time with music in the air. Ayan was humming to himself as he helped set the table. Suddenly, without warning, click. The fan began to spin. A soft buzz came from the refrigerator. The apartment blinked, then lit up. The power was back. For a moment, no one moved. No one said a word. Then Zoya screamed in joy. "The lights are on! The lights are on!" Ayan jumped to his feet. "It's really back!" Noreen stood frozen, hand over her mouth. She had imagined this moment so many times. Now it was real. Imran didn't cheer. He just looked around, soaking in the moment. Not because the lights were on, but because even when they weren't, they had found a way to shine. Later that evening, when the sun began to set, Imran posted one final entry. Day 7, light returns. The power is back. The fridge hums again. The fan turns, the TV works. But something strange has happened. We're not rushing back to it, because in this week of darkness we discovered a different kind of brightness. We learned to listen, to share, to write, to care. We learned that when the lights go off, the heart still works. And when people are kind, no home is ever truly dark. This is the last entry of my blackout journal, but it is not the end of our story. It's just the beginning of how we learn to see, even in the dark. And with that, Imran closed the phone, turned off the lights voluntarily, and joined his family on the floor. Together, in the quiet, in the soft glow of peace, they simply sat. No panic, no worry, just a small family